So for those of you who just put on the ribbon, we say, Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. God gives and God takes away. Blessed be the name of God. We remember Marlene Marks Kornick and join our hearts together to give comfort and strength to her family. Mourning is a time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Marlene's life with the millennia-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. Kohelet wrote, Ecclesiastes, "The eye never has its fill of seeing. Young or old, those who depart this life never see enough of the world, never complete their task, never cherish their loved ones enough before they are called home. How they yearn for yet another respite from the final summons, and how we yearned to have them close to us for yet another challenge in our lives, yet another joy, yet another precious moment together. God, be now with those whose hearts are broken because whenever parting comes, it comes too soon. Console them at this moment. Be near them when light seems distant. Sustain them, O God, until the time of healing." In Kohelet, in Ecclesiastes, we also read, "There is a time for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for being born and a time for dying, a time for planting and a time for uprooting the planted, a time for destroying and a time for healing, a time for tearing down and a time for building up, a time for weeping and a time for laughing, a time for wailing and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing and a time to refrain from embraces, a time for seeking and a time for losing, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for tearing and a time for sowing, a time for silence and a time for speaking, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time for war and a time for peace." We continue with Psalm 23. Let's read the translation together before the singing. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Adonai roi lo echsar binot sheyarbitzeni al menuchot yenach נפשי ישובב, ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי ילך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני, לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. A mother of generations, a woman of valor, she is precious in the gifts that she has given to your family. Her children have found trust and truth in these gifts. You follow in the patterns that she taught. She is robed in strength and dignity, and she smiles at the future. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. We benefit and learn from her wisdom. May she always be credited for the fruit of her labor and her achievements. May she live on in glory. Now I would like to call upon Jill to speak.
First, the essence. My mom's entire being was filled with kindness. Her smile was radiant. She was gentle and loving, and despite her many illnesses, she was strong. She wanted the best for all of us and was selfless in her love. She was forgiving to a fault. The most valuable lessons I learned from my mom were these. Many communicated to me in our deep conversations in the laundry room basement while she was ironing and I was leaning against the dryer. Tell the truth. Don't keep things in because they will fester, she would say. Follow your heart, trust your gut, be the bigger person. What I learned from my mom has been so woven into my own being that while she may be gone from this earth, her essence remains. Of this, I have no doubt. She believed in me, and that belief formed my core and allowed me to pursue my dreams. Basically, my mom saved my life. In our home that often did not feel safe growing up, my mom communicated to me daily, I believe in you, I trust you. She loved me with a fierce love and never made me feel guilty for following my dreams, even though they took me away from Chicago. If things had been different, my mom and I would have been next door neighbors for life. That's the kind of relationship we had. I cried and she cried at the end of every visit on the way to the airport. Yet she loved me enough to let me go, and I loved her enough to not guilt her into moving to wherever I was living. She was tied to Chicago, and my life and work was elsewhere, so it was not to be. My mom was the ultimate putterer. When I'd go visit, she'd always have this stack of papers piled up that she was going through, meaning coupons to be cut and sorted, recipes that she might make one day, and upcoming sales. Throughout the years, I'd call her and ask what she was doing, and she'd say, oh, nothing, just going through papers. And I could picture the entire scene. The Chicago Tribune piled up on the counter, and every single one of those horrible inserts that needed to be gone through. She collected pens and markers, a habit which I have inherited, and little instruments such as emery boards, which were always neatly organized. She loved lilacs and rose bushes. She was the most inherently creative person. She made jewelry of all kinds and loved wearing fun, colorful pins and earrings. At Friend Center, she really got into mindful coloring and would color for hours. She became kind of like an assistant to Jackie in the art department. She had a knack for buying presents for our kids that she found in stores, usually dollar stores, that were always their favorites. Those poppers, the magic pills that would expand in a cup of water, the wind-up toys that marched across the floor. I can close my eyes and see her unpacking her suitcase with our boys waiting as she revealed what new amazing things she had brought and how she would delight in their joy. She loved pretzels and Fannie Mae turtles, Hershey Kisses, and red licorice. Even with her diabetes, she would order chocolate phosphates and halva. She folded things so beautifully that since I've left home, I think of her each time I do laundry, wishing that I could channel her talent. I think of her each time I look in the mirror and hear her voice saying to me, Jill, you really should put some more rouge on. You're so pale. She was famous for underlining and double underlining the words in the Hallmark cards she meticulously chose, browsing the aisle until she found exactly the right sentiment, but the underlining got across the point with her emphasis. Quirky and sweet-natured, quiet and forgiving, the trials that she endured in her life, she did so with grace. I said to my son, or I think I said to David this morning, that I remembered this morning that when I was around 5 years old, and I think it was one of our grandparents died, and I asked her, I said, Mom, what happens when someone dies? And she said to me, oh, honey, they will always live forever in your heart. And so we would always say to each other, you are always in my heart, Tamid Bilibi. And I will carry my mom, I will carry you, Mom, in my heart forever and ever.
I'm going to try to get through this. A poem for my mother-in-law. She was woman. She was a mother. She was a daughter. She was a wife. She was a sister, an aunt, and a friend. She was strong. She was smart and crafty. She was passionate. She was courageous. And she was generous. She was hope, beauty, emotion, and devotion. She was kind. She was sweet. She was kind of quiet and very, very loving. She gave you respect, love, and gratitude. She was the best mother-in-law to me. I remember 30 years ago, Keith taking me to meet his mom at her condo. She opened the door, and this beautiful, tall, dark-haired woman welcomed me into her home and into her heart. As a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law, we spent a lot of time together over the last 30 years. She was so hands-on with Justin and Zach from the day they were born. She was an incredible grandmother. She loved watching the boys' baseball games and go to their basketball games. She always remembered to bring pretzels in a baggie in her purse to all their games, and she would share it with all the kids. I will miss our Saturday and Sunday lunches and dinners. I will miss our Saturday trips to the hair salon and going to Max and Benny's. Or even when she said, can we just go to the drive-thru at Taco Bell? And I would take her for her tacos. She loved her tacos. And she would eat in the car. I will miss her coming over and organizing my kitchen and my drawers. I will miss watching her play cards and poker with Keith, Justin, and Zach at the kitchen table. I will miss seeing her in the kitchen making her famous salad and salad dressing that we all loved. I will miss walking into the Friend Center, going into her room, and laying in her bed beside her. And we just talked about anything and everything. The nurses from the Friend Center told me last week how much my mother-in-law loved me. And when I came there, and how lucky she was to have me as a daughter-in-law. I was the lucky one. I said to them, I'm blessed and lucky. In getting to know you, which was a bio Marlene gave to the Friend Center about her life, she mentioned that her advice to the world was to always be kind and enjoy life to the fullest. And that was her. I will honor her memory every day. I'm forever grateful and will cherish all the loving memories and the wonderful life lessons I learned from listening to her and watching this sweet, incredible woman. I was so very blessed to call my mother-in-law.
I just want to welcome everyone and thank you for showing up and supporting us, my cousins, my relatives, friends. Anybody who knows me knows my mom. I want to really thank you, my brother, Laura, for being here, because I left too, like my sister. So thank you, Jill. We both left to become others. And it was my mom and the Mark family, the Dolgans. They brought a sweetness that my mom carried, and I hope all of us carry that on. Nancy's family, the grandkids. And it's just amazing how many new family members are being born now. So it's just been amazing. The Berksons, the Garricks. So it's a wonderful cycle to experience. So thank you, Jill, for those wonderful words of remembering Mom. I have one memory. I'm gonna play it. Mom left a lot of voice messages for me. She would never leave a conversation without saying I love you, making us say it.
And give me a buzz when you get my message. I love you. Bye-bye.
Give me a buzz. That was Mom's word. It's my Aunt Blanche's too. If they call, give me a buzz. I don't know hardly any people that say that. It was always there. Give me a buzz. I love you. She made sure anytime. So it just was a wonderful person. I'm really lucky. I can really call my mom my best friend. I don't know how many people can do that, but I feel really lucky. Anyways, thanks everyone. It's been a pleasure. We haven't seen each other for a very long time, and look forward to talking to everyone. Thank you.
Josh is next.
Hi, everyone. My grandmother, Marlene Marks Kornick, is one of 3 people I owe my life to. I was born on July 6, 1984, and my grandma wanted to be with my mom and dad when I was born, and more so because that's just who my grandmother was. She was always there. My grandmother was one of the funniest people I have ever met, but the kind of funny that is so special because she didn't know it. It was from a place of innocence and pure love. But the things she said were not only funny, they changed lives. On July 5th, my parents and grandma were playing Trivial Pursuit, and her card came up with the question, what became illegal to burn in 1965? My grandma was so excited and positive she knew the answer, she blurted it out. Her answer? Burning leaves in Skokie. The real answer, however, was burning your draft card. But at this, my mom lost it, laughing so hard she fell on the floor, which put her into labor. And a few hours later, I was born. Other than my mom and dad, who did their part in making me, it was my grandmother with her love, humor, and innocence who brought me into this world. And that is so emblematic of her. Because of that, I was born into a world surrounded by happiness, joy, and laughter. Those qualities have been with me ever since. I've had a lot of my first time experiences with my grandma. The first time I ever flew alone was to see her. I remember how excited I was knowing that getting off the plane, she would be there ready to envelop me with her love and candy and Tootsie Rolls and pretzels. And her apartment had this sweet smell to it. And I realized that it smelled like love. Grandma was famous for her chopped salads, like Lori had said. The candy that she always had, Tootsie Rolls were her favorite, and the games and small presents she had for us, which were always on point. She taught me the card game Slapjack, which I loved because it was rare for her to be quick enough to move her hands away. She also taught me to play pickup sticks. She was so aware of who each of us were and made everything special, including luggage. She made yarn. She made puffballs to put our luggage on, on our luggage so we could find it easily. Whenever I travel, they're still there and she is with me. Now, my grandma and I did differ on a few things, and there was no way I was going to change her mind. My mom mentioned that she loved lilacs. One time when I was visiting her, she drove around the back of a building, and I asked her, what was she doing? To which she said, I'm getting my lilacs. She had found a lilac bush behind a building in some parking lot, and she claimed it. I told her it was not hers and she couldn't steal those flowers, but it was too late. With her shears already out of her iconic black leather purse, she was snipping away. As the years went on, Grandma and I would go out searching for lilac bushes to claim. When a movie came out with the actor Zach Galifianakis, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't pronounce his name. And over the years, it became a running joke between us, and I challenged her to say it, and she always tried, leaving everyone around us in tears laughing. Not at her, though, but at the beauty of her willingness to try over and over. As the oldest grandchild, I was able to see how she played and interacted with Benny, Justin, Zach, Casey, and Jamie. She did the same thing with them, holding space to be loved and always being there. I am so lucky to have been able to see that so that I can be there the way that she was for my kids and my grandchildren. She never asked for anything. She just wanted to give. And I wish that was as infectious as COVID-19. I know she will continue to live on in our memories. I love you, Grandma, with all my heart.
Say something about the slideshow.
The last thing I wanted to say is that we will be having a slideshow of my grandmother after the burial for the people at the cemetery right now. We will play it again and everything is being recorded. Thank you.
So wonderful words from daughter Jill, daughter-in-law Lori, son David, and grandson Josh. Marlene Kornick leaves a large hole in the heart of her family. Like any serious collector, she made sure her markers, emery boards, and other useful acquisitions were organized and filed away. And even though they were more ephemeral, lilacs and roses were also greatly prized. But Marlene's loved ones were her most cherished possessions. She lovingly nurtured and cultivated you in every way she possibly could. She loved you fiercely and generously. You knew she was thinking of you at every moment, as she was always on the lookout for trinkets and snacks she thought you might like. Like the pennies she picked up from the ground, labeling them with the date and location in which she found them, she treasured her family and her friends. She nourished and encouraged and believed in all of you. And you knew how she knew how you cherished her in return. Marlene, your sister, mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, or friend will always live on in your heart. The memory of this righteous woman is a great blessing. And now, it is traditional to recite the words from Psalm 27 during this month of Elul before the High Holy Days begin. And it says, "My light, my God, This only do I ask, to live in your house all the days of my life. Keep me safe in your tent when evil days come. Shelter me in your tent. Set me safely upon a rock. Achat shalti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Achat shalti me'et Adonai otavakesh. Shivti bevet Adonai kol yemei chayai lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker behechalo lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker behechalo. We now rise for El Maleh Rachamim. God of abundant mercy, God most high. If you're not able, you don't have to rise. You may remain seated, that's fine. God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one who has gone into eternity find the gift of perfect rest under the shelter of your wings, together with the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold her close to you forever, so that her soul may be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May she find a home with you, and may she rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. El Maleh Rachamim shochen b'mromim hametzeh menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina im kedoshim u'teorim kezor harakia mazhirim et nishmat malka patrut v'Yaakov shehalcha le'olama Ba'al harachamim yastireh b'seter kenafav le'olamim v'yitzror chayim et nishmata Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar Amen. And we continue with the Kaddish, which is on the back of your handout. We say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom, shalom, shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom, shalom, shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen. In Jewish tradition, to shovel earth into the grave is a mitzvah. And this is the last righteous act we can perform with no hope of thanks or reward. And with this, we take on the responsibility of caring for our loved one until the very end. Our loved ones deserve to be buried by kind hands, knowing hands, sorrowful hands. So you are invited to participate in this mitzvah, a painful act, but one born of love and compassion for those who have meant so much to us. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevarach. Like Job, we say, God you have given, God you have taken away. Blessed be the name of God. May Marlene's memory be a blessing as we mark that her essence will never leave our hearts and souls. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Lai, 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 lai. I'm going to start by pouring some earth from the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, traditionally the holiest place for the Jew area. They're going to put the ball. Oh, it's traditional to put in 3 scoops, at least, to show that it is truly your intention to help in this last act. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, binot sheyar bitzeni, al mei menuchot yenaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yanchini lemagre tzedek, leman shemo. Yes, absolutely.
And friends, in just a moment, the cemetery staff will complete the task of filling the grave. And at that time, for those of you who are streaming the funeral, you'll be able to see a slideshow that will be made available by the family. And the rest of the service then concludes here at the gravesite.
I also want to tell everyone, I want to invite everyone to Shiva, which will be every night at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And I will put the link into the chat.
Everyone will we will begin the slideshow momentarily in less than 30 seconds, so please stay on. About my grandmother's life.
I just want to thank everyone. I just want to thank everyone who joined us from the bottom of my heart, from everyone in my whole family. Thank you for being here under these such unusual circumstances. I want to thank Kendra Katzman and everyone who spoke. And I hope that you will be able to join us for one of the Shiva Minyanim. And let me know if you weren't able to get the information. Just email me or message me on Facebook. So thank you so much.